Hey guys, Snupy here. So with 9.1 right around the corner, I get a lot of questions on my stream and on my videos on YouTube about which Covenant Founders go for this new patch. And I think the answer is a bit more complicated than just saying one of the Covenants. So in this video, I'm going to cover the options we have. And it's going to talk about my opinions on which one is going to be the best choice for you. So yeah, that's going to be this video. Let's go. Alright, so quickly before we jump into the Covenant choice for 9.1, I want to kind of cover how the different Covenants are doing in the current game right now. So yeah, as we all know probably, Necrolord is doing really good. It's the best Covenant by far right now, I'd say. As you're just very tanky, and you have nice damage overall. Knife is pretty good as well. Like, I still play Knife on my main, and you can definitely gain high rating with Knife. Even though it takes a bit more setup, and I'd say it's a bit more clunky to kind of get full value out of. But once you're used to using Convoke in a good way right now, it's definitely not bad. Kyrian, I think, is pretty good as well. But with every hunter going BM, Necro just fits way better with it, and yeah, Kyrian just kind of fell by the wayside when Necro kind of blew up. But you can still do huge bites with Kyrian, and yeah, it's not bad. And then for the final one is Venthyr. Venthyr was never really a thing. It's just really bad, I'd say. Like, no one really plays it. It's just very clunky, a long CD with low value, and yeah, a teleport or like a portal, which you don't really need as a Frelger anyways, as you have enough mobility as it is. So yeah, that's like kind of how it is right now, and now we're going to go into how they're looking for 9.1 and which one you might want to play. Alright, starting off, we're talking about Knife. So Knife, as you might already know, is getting a new Legendary, which is looking really good for us in PP, and also probably PV, but I'm going to focus on PP now. And this is Celestial Spirits. So what this does is makes her Convoke be a 1 minute cooldown. It has half the abilities, which is huge on its own, as it's less like kind of potential to kill someone, so it's going to be a great ability to use to force trinkets, or just other defensive CDs on a very small cooldown for us. So I think we're going to be like using this kind of more off CD now. While on the current patch 9.0.5, you're just kind of like using it more as a finisher. While with this, you can use it more freely, even maybe more defensively, you know, for heals. But yes, this is going to be huge. I think this is going to make a lot more Ferals go back to Knife, as it's looking really strong. And also, when we look at the new Soulbinds, we can now get 2 Endurance by going Nia, which is always good for us too. Well-Honed is getting nerfed, it's still going to be really good, so I think we're going to play Well-Honed and probably Innate Resolve still. And probably go down here right now on Spectre, but yeah, I think we're going for the Endurance. But yeah, one huge thing that kind of like makes this Legendary even better, and a big reason that I think Knife will kind of become a very strong Covenant, maybe even the strongest one, is because of Grove. So Grove procs 16 stacks every time we Convoke, which means we can now proc this every minute, and it's up for 30 seconds, which means the uptime on Grove, the Mastery, and HP from it is pretty insane. Which was, you know, increase our bleed damage in general, makes it more tanky. And this paired with, for example, Bloodhounds, and maybe even Savage Roar can basically, you can make a Knife bleed build with huge bites every minute with Convoke if you want to. So I see a lot like potential there for different builds for this. So it's gonna be interesting to see like what we're gonna play. But yeah, I'll definitely be on the lookout for like some kind of bleed Knife bite build. But also just playing Feral Frenzy and Soul will also be good. But it's going to be fun to have some more options that we can kind of mess around with. But yeah, so for Knife it's looking really strong. And I do recommend playing it. And I do kind of recommend swapping to it now, come 9.1. If you're interested in doing big bites and even potentially bleeds in a bit of different way to how Necrolord plays. But I'm going to talk about Necrolord and the other Covenants as well. Alright, so moving on, we're going to talk about Necrolord in 9.1. But yeah, first of all, right now in the game, of course, Necrolord is the most played Covenant by far. Almost every Feralger plays it in 2s and 3s. It's just very tanky, and you also have nice consistent damage. But yeah, like being this tanky with Swarm for healing you guys, but just with Fleshcraft, and also having the double Endurance, and also some defensive Soulbinds like the Ooze, just makes you very tanky in general. Also, of course, Ultimate Form can be used defensively as well. But yeah, so it is very tanky, nice overall damage, which just makes you very strong. And this will not change in 9.1. So Necrolord will still be a great choice for Covenants if you don't know what to play. When it comes to the new Legendary for Necrolord, this is called Locust Swarm. It doesn't like really look that good to me. Maybe in like an RBG it could be decent, but I'm not sure. So I think we're still going to be playing Drought mainly as Necrolord. But yeah, it's definitely just going to be a nice option to play. If you enjoyed this bleed playstyle, then definitely stay Necrolord and you'll be fine. As also BM Hunters are not going anywhere, I think. So BM Jungle will still be probably like the strongest comp for Feral Druids. Even though now with Wicked Claws, which puts on Infected Wounds, the healing reduction, we're going to be viable in more different comps that didn't have a healing reduction before. For example, FMP, you can play with Warlock maybe, a Shadow Priest. Many different comps could work quite well now with this. So, yeah. Necrolord is going to be a nice option to play Knife 1 as well, as it is now. So, yeah. Knife 8, of course, as well will be really good. But Necro might be the one for you if you enjoy the playstyle. Moving on now. Alright, so now I've talked about the 2 Covenants that I recommend the most and that I think are going to be played the most. Covenant 1. I think both are going to be really good. Just kind of depending on which playstyle you prefer. If you really like the Necrolord Bleed playstyle, you can play that. As said though, Knife 8 will also going to have a more bleed heavy spec, I think. By playing the 1-minute Convoke, getting high up on Grove. And they can even play BT, do BT rips. Maybe even Savage Roar, which I did in a video, which I'm going to show some game stuff after here. Yeah, maybe even Savage Roar BT can do huge bleeds as Knife as well now. With that nice Convoke on a 1-minute cooldown for some good goes that are quite consistent. But yeah, so now on to the 2 that I think are not going to be very good. One of them is actually going to be quite decent, though. I think Kyrian is kind of going to stay as it is now, I think. It's not a bad option. It's just not really as good as Necrolord. And I don't think it's going to be as good as Knife either when Knife 1 comes out. But it's definitely like a decent option. And if you enjoy the Kyrian playstyle, you can definitely play it and I think and perform quite well. While the one that I would never go right now is Venthyr. Ventyr's just really, really bad in every single way, pretty much. It has nothing going for it in reality. It's a 3-minute cooldown, doesn't actually do much, and you get a portal, but Feral Druids already have a lot of mobility, so you don't really gain too much from that either. So unless like Venthyr gets a huge revamp, I don't really see it being good at all. But yes, that's pretty much it. So again, I recommend playing mainly Necrolord and Knife. I just played the one that you think like looks the most fun, as both look really good for number 1. And whichever one you think suits your playstyle the most, you should go for. Kyrian will also be quite good, so not a bad option. And again, Venthyr, you don't want to play it at all, I think. But yeah, that's the video, and I'll see you guys soon.